We are back, safe in New York. Our suitcases are unpacked. Our alarms are set for work. Life looked normal again, but our minds never left Barbados. Thank you for taking that trip with us. Let me ask you, how are you feeling after that trip? Which emotions are you now feeling? Like I told you, the ones I've been experiencing through this journey. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you frightened? Are you glad? For me, a new emotion has joined our journey. It's called disappointment. We are disappointed. We left Barbados on Kudumant Day, Monday, August 4th, 2025. Watching the masqueraders in their costume heading down to town, to Bridgetown, for a happy and joyful time. While Luke and I quietly boarded a flight carrying more questions in my suitcase than answers.
Progress or questions? We are leaving with both.
But me and Luke, we still believed that that concrete roof would finally be poured within days. We were wrong though. We were wrong. Because while we were journeying north, another journey had already begun. Our custom windows and doors, they were sailing west from China. My journey was following its schedule perfectly. Smooth sailing, smooth tides. But the other, listen please, I beg, put on your life jackets, and if you need to take some seasick pills, take them now, because the entire month of August 2025 after we returned was this. Welcome back to Building Back Home with Jackie.
Yeah, man, the vision's strong. Building back home where I belong. Ooh, yeah. But every foundation got a story to tell about the unseen cracks and the caution bell. So come walk with me through the sun and the rain. On Jackie's journey, we gon' rise again.
I want to pause here and tell you a bit about this boat. P82, the Village Girl. That was the registered name and number of my father's boat. The boat that nourished us, nourished his family, his children. It fed us, it sent us to school, and made us see our father, Cecil Mason, whom we love so much, as a strong and brave man. For me, he was my protector, he was my provider. So as I use my fisherman's daughter mindset, and as I journey on his boat, it gives me comfort. It gives me hope. It reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me where I came from and my humble beginnings. As a child, when he was around, fear really had a place in my heart because I knew I was loved and protected by him. He's gone. But today, that perspective has deepened because as an adult now, I see my Heavenly Father as my creator, my provider, my protector, my father, my God, and my friend. And because of who he is, we, all of us, we should and can walk through life with faith instead of fear. Looking back, now, August wasn't the month everything stopped. August 2025 was the month everything started drifting. Construction doesn't usually fail all at once. It drifts first. Before we dive into today's chapter, a quick but important reminder. This podcast is a personal narrative based solely on my own experience as someone building a home in Barbados while living in New York. All content shared is strictly for educational, emotional, and storytelling purposes. It is not intended to target, accuse, or disparage any individual, contractor, or corporate entity. And certain names and identity details have been generalized or omitted to protect professional privacy. Nothing, and I mean nothing here, constitutes legal, financial, architectural, or professional advice or construction advice. Always seek your own qualified professionals for your unique journey. Story time. Let me get my glasses. Go and bring your tea. Now, by the first week of August, we were back to our regular routine. Alarm clocks, commutes, meetings, emails, rush hour traffic. I mean, everything looked exactly the same as it had before we left. Except my heart never really came back. Every morning before my feet even touched the floor, I thanked Jehovah for another day. I read my daily Bible text. Then, without even thinking, I would pick up my phone and I scrolling through the WhatsApp. Every single morning before breakfast, before work, before anything, because my heart and my mind were still permanently operating on Barbados time. Now, after saying all that, I feel like I should add the Bajan culture moment here now. You know, back home in Barbados, we always look at the sea and know how to read the weather. But when you are sitting thousands of miles away in New York, the only weather report you have is the screen in the palm of your hand. So for this leg of the journey, I I wrote this little piece about that exact digital illusion. It says, the city cold. The wind is blow through Brooklyn and Queens while we are sitting down in New York watching telephone screens. The WhatsApp just ping from morning till night and photos coming through looking pretty and bright. And we cargo with we windows and doors sailing steady from across the far east, while my mind in a puzzle, to say it at least. Luke and I just be checking the weather and we watching the dirt and clay, waiting for news of the poor. I mean, every single day. But a picture is a moment. It ain't the whole sea. And a message can't build what you're wanting to see. The money to move though, and the promises high. But the no roof and the steel still lingering under the sky. Hey, wonders never end. We counting the weeks while the digital curtain just smiles as it speaks. Listeners, me and Luke were checking the clock. counting the hours and waiting for the definitive confirmation that the roof was finally poured, or it being poured, it gonna be poured today. For those of you who are building, whether locally or from abroad, and before I say, I want to pause here and say something. From my heart, the countless WhatsApp messages, comments, emails, and DMs that I've received from you since I started this podcast have truly broken my heart. Hearing your stories, oh my. Whether you're building at home or managing projects from another country, it has shown me that this experience is far more common than many realize. To everyone who has shared their journey with me, I am absolutely sorry for what you've endured. But you've also given me more reason to bring these injustices into the light and to use my platform to create a space where your voices can be heard and your truths can be told. Because you know what? Many people don't, what many people don't see is the hidden burden that comes with building from a distance, the mental energy it takes to manage a construction project through your smartphone screens while still balancing a demanding career, caring for your family, and handling everyday responsibilities. Is exhausting. Then there's the added challenges, the time differences, the constant phone calls, the unanswered messages, the rush hour traffic, the scorching summers, the rainy seasons, the harsh winters, and the never-ending bills to pay. It's a hidden tax that every diaspora builder truly pays. And not just financially, but emotionally and mentally, and sometimes even physically. It takes a toll on you. And until you've lived it, it's difficult to fully understand the weight of carrying a project from thousands of miles away while putting your trust, your savings, and your dreams and your money in someone else's hands. Now, days turned into weeks, and August was filled for us with many requests for updates. Why? Because not only wasn't the roof poured, as you know, but now we were talking about the windows and the doors scheduled to be delivered to the site on August 18th. On August 6th, around 6:14 p.m., 2 days after our return to New York, I sent this message in the group chat to the contractor. See here. Hi, contractor by name. See attached delivery window and door schedule. See also the following note from the supplier, that's the window supplier. Let us know by August 13th where the item should be delivered and offloaded. See here the delivery schedule attached. You are your representative. Example, a building contractor will need to sign off on the delivery. I added also the form delivery note signature information. No response. Then on August 9th at 1:42 p.m., the architect sent a note in the chat, the group chat, letting us know that he was currently up at the site and that no one was there and nothing was done since the last visit before we left. You guys were there, you know. Wow. I must say here though that the architect had often expressed to us how disappointed he was and how he understands how disappointed we were and that we had to leave and the roof wasn't poured. And so he made time to visit the site to give us an update. And here is what was also included. This is the latter part of his WhatsApp message when he visited the site. And I quote, "The roof still exposed. This is about a month with no anti-rust coating, so I'm worried it's compromised. Might be best to have someone checked if it can be reused or if we should replace the whole roof decking and steel." Hey! Listeners, may poverty never locate us. I remember reading that message, then reading it again. And then one thought crossed my mind. Yeah, you're right. How long has that steel been sitting there exposed? We were talking to the contractor about since back in April that this roof was supposed to be poured. That evening after dinner, I couldn't settle my mind. Luke was sitting there out in the living room there shaking his head as he read that message. I kept thinking about that roof, about the steel, about the shipment on the ocean, questioning if a container would be on site to accept them, thinking about all the conversations that didn't seem to fit together. It's just something ain't connecting. Silence. Listeners, my dear diaspora family and friends, I want you to know that between then and all through the first and second week of August after we returned, questions about the poor, questions about the changes that we had noticed and we had asked about during our July visit, the shipment was on its way. The promises that the roof can pour today, can pour next week, can pour. Volumes and volumes of WhatsApp messages. The August WhatsApp messages became so heavy as the conversations now turned from roof pour to possible compromised steel, anti-rust coating. Man, we both felt like it was sinking. And then quickly after the architect's message, Luke and I decided we need to send someone to check on our behalf. So I called my brother Peter, and Luke called his brother Anderson. They have always been concerned and checking in every so often on the project for us. We told them to please kindly go and check on the project and let us know if there are any workers on site and check if the steel may need to be protected. And so they did. Not a worker, not a man in sight. And from their perspective, the steel showed some rust. I relayed these findings to the contractor. And see here on August 9th at 1:56 p.m., the message response from the contractor and a note stating he's open to us having an engineer inspect the steel. I immediately responded with this note. This is so disturbing. What could possibly be happening as it relates to this? At contractor, by his name, you told me that your team was starting back on Thursday. Clients, because you're a client if you're building. See here a log of just a few of the many messages that was added and back and forth from the WhatsApp group. Don't get seasick. And I won't read them now. You know what? You may pause and come back later. We gotta speed up this journey. The messages became more and more. The architect was requesting a call to have a contractor call me. We were calling, no answer. Meanwhile, Luke and I were also concerned about the windows and doors facing the ocean out there. But I need to share something important about our visit in July. During that trip, one day I asked the contractor directly about the ongoing delays. I especially asked the contractor, is there any financial issues affecting this project? Is there a money issue? And he assured me there were none, not one. So I now want to confirm this. So I showed Luke was back inside the project. And I said, Luke, come. And I verbally asked the same question again so that Luke could hear. And I asked him the same question if it was anything to do with money, finances. And the contractor again said, no money issues. So at that point, we were so eager to see the project move forward that we were even willing to inject additional funds to help the roof pour before we leave and keep the construction on schedule. Looking back now, that's an important lesson for you, my dear builders. In construction projects, especially when delays and frustrations begin to build, you can't let emotions be your guide. Decisions need to be based on facts, transparency, and careful evaluation, not on hope, pressure, or urgency. You hear me? On August 13th at around 12:52 p.m., hear my voice message to the contractor.
You're not picking up. I'm not sure how busy you could be that a whole week or more has passed and you never responded or even respond to our call. What I'm trying to get is one, what I already placed in the chat, and that's about the roof pour. And secondly, the doors and windows delivery is scheduled for Monday. I wanted to find out about the container, what you have available, the sizes, how is it how you're going to be able to store how you're going to be able to store these items securely also, and get a schedule of when at least to get even the bottom floor windows and doors installed, so that for any other material maybe you'll have a better place to securely store the items within the house or something. So there's a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and if you can, please get back to me soon. I feel like I've been asking you this for like over a year now, like always, please, and like begging for you to respond to me as a client, and I truly feel disappointed, and I wish that you would give me a call back. It is not to blame, it is to just get things scheduled and to understand how we can work together. Is it something financial? If it is, let me know. Let us know so we can try to inject some monies into the project. Or I asked you this when before, and I also asked you this verbally, physically actually, when we were there in Barbados, and I asked you this in front of Luke. Is there anything with money? Is there money concern? And you told me no. You told us no. So there's shouldn't be a concern with that on my part. Yet I feel that there is, but you're not saying.
Hear that? Then on August 14th, 6:38 a.m. early that Early that morning, as my feet hit the floor, Luke was already off to work. I received now what seems to be a formal WhatsApp message from the contractor. No, it's written like a letter. We gone formal now. Addressed to Luke and I, informing us with this. After careful consideration, he said he has decided for it to be best to move forward with another supplier. That's a concrete supplier, and that the original supplier had a series of setbacks, mechanical issues with his equipment, and unfortunately, he had a serious incident where he fell off a building. Now, I want to say here though that part about the concrete supplier incident struck me hard. It wasn't our building, but I felt so sad and sorry about the whole unfortunate incident. Now, you see what I tell you about these emotions. Now, here comes that emotion. I said, I wanted to call the concrete guy directly to see how he was doing. But he has no contract or agreement with us. And plus, the contractor was already talking about getting other concrete suppliers. So this is his subcontractor. So no need for us as a client to connect with the third tier. So I didn't call that day. Because I called. Later I did. But before we move on, I think we should bring in our red flags for today's episode because they're heavy on me. Verbal promises replacing written schedules. Different stories from different people. Start documenting why the stories don't match. Activity doesn't always mean progress. Sharp little bursts of activity don't replace sustained progress towards your critical milestones. One milestone doesn't fix the project. Always evaluate the entire project and not just the latest accomplishments. Structural elements left exposed like the steel. Because weather doesn't pause because your project schedule does. Professional warnings being delayed or minimized, like what we heard from the architect. Repeated almost ready. That repeated almost ready, that will be a project management issue. And last for today's episode, communication increasing while your progress is decreasing. When communication volumes grow while physical progress slows, it's time to verify that. It's time to verify everything independently. I promise you that at the end of this series 1, all the red flags and lessons learned that we've done through this series will be available to you for free to download. And if you're planning to build, just use it as a checklist. Did I do this? Did I check this as you build? Then on August 15th, back to the story. Then on August 15th at 12:14 p.m., the windows and door schedule sent me a WhatsApp message and asked me something. A question I had forgotten to get an answer to. You forgot to, because of all the turbulence in our boat. Do you recall? He was following up on where the location on the site should be for the delivery of the windows and doors. Where should they be placed? I quickly responded that I will coordinate with the contractor and I'll let him know by the end of the day. So I sent a message to the contractor and we agreed that an area on the site is where the container would be and the windows and doors would be delivered there. The group chat was busy with nothing because every which way the currents were pulling, we were drifting with no solutions. Our navigation was now offset. We forgot the windows and doors were coming. August 16th, 17th, quiet, peep, peep, crickets. On August 18th, while driving on my way to work, this was around 7:57, almost 8 o'clock, a WhatsApp message from the supplier came in, and I driving and I reading. And the message was bolded, capitalized, and it said, urgent alert. Well, Lord. And it said, the shipment arrival date has moved from August 18th to August 27th. You know what? I was glad. That emotion now, I almost feel, okay, I am glad. I felt like the windows and doors safer out there on the ocean than they will be on land. Then on August 19th, 7:10 p.m., after I got home, I had some dinner, got myself a shower, put on my night clothes, and said, I feel lost at sea. Luke was there watching TV, and I said, man, I gonna call that concrete guy. So I pick up my phone and scroll through for the number that had called me back when I was in Barbados. And when I called, the phone rang. He didn't answer. And to be honest, I was actually kind of relieved. You see, why I was calling to check on how he was doing after the incident, there was still another part of me that I didn't want to hear anything different from what we had been told. I wanted to believe that the accident and the mechanical equipment and the issues were truly the reason for the delay. At that point, that explanation made sense to me. It was a story that Luke and I had accepted. And sometimes when you're invested sometimes when you have invested so much time and energy and hope into a project, you want the answers to be simple. You want to believe that the delays were just temporary. You think they're temporary setbacks and that everything will soon get back on track. But as I would learn later, assumptions can be dangerous. In construction, as in life, it's important to verify facts rather than rely on what we hope is true. Because about an hour later, my phone lit up. A WhatsApp message from the supplier, and it said, good night. You called me? What's up? Simple. Simple. And I said, I'm going to call back. And that one message changed the rest of the evening. I'll keep the details of our conversation private, but I will tell you this. When I hung up, I wasn't asking the same questions anymore. Wow. Hey, do not look where you fell. Look where you slipped. Nobody teaches you how lonely remote building from abroad can be. Everyone sees the finished house, the finished product. Very, very few people ever see the waiting, the emotions. Looking back, I realize up at this attic hot. Looking back, I realize photographs tell you what the cameras can see. They don't always tell you what's happening behind them. We were now in mid-August finally. We left Barbados more than a month. The roof still wasn't poured. Our windows and doors were somewhere out on the ocean. And somehow I had the feeling that the remainder of August and September was going to change everything. I just didn't know whether it would be for better or for worse. Don't let me forget. Let's pause here for the masterclass lessons and see what lessons we learned for this episode as you need to protect your legacy. Sustained over isolated. Progress is measured by sustained momentum, not isolated milestones. Respectful verification. When communication becomes inconsistent, respectfully verify information through appropriate channels, like I told you I did. The roof fallacy. A completed roof doesn't guarantee a healthy roof. Hidden current. Sometimes the biggest risks are the ones hidden beneath apparent progress. And last, for today, the distance multiplier. Distance makes documentation, communication, and independent verification even more important. I want to ask you what you would do. Before we leave today's chapter, I'd love to hear from you. Put yourself in our shoes. Say you're back home after your site visit. Your roof still isn't poured. Your architect is raising questions and concerns about the exposed steel. Your supplier is asking where to deliver a shipment that's already on its way. And you're trying to manage all of this from another country while you're going to work every day. What would you have done? Would you have continued waiting? Would you have flown back sooner? Would you have brought in an independent professional at this stage? Or would you have done exactly what we did? I really want to hear your thoughts, because one of the things I've learned through this podcast is that we all see risks differently, right? So leave me a comment below, because someone reading your experience may learn something they never thought about before. And please, I beg, please subscribe, share it, and follow this journey. It was created with you in mind. End of August and September rolled in. In the background, the explanations we were receiving for the continued scheduling delays began to shift and transform. And as a professional document controller, my internal tracking system thrives on clear records and structure. When the lines begin to blur, my instinct tells me to look closer. Our conversations became noticeably firmer. We were no longer accepting open-ended promises. We began keeping a precise record of everything. And we even initiated discussions about seeking formal legal counsel locally to protect our investment if progress continues to stall out completely. Now, our WhatsApp messages became more formal because I introduced the words lawyer and legal, and those terms seems to have now introduced a new person, a close connection to the contractor into the journey. And the tone of our communication is now at another level. Looking back, mid-August didn't end with answers. It ended with questions, bigger questions than the ones we started. I had made one phone call expecting reassurance. Instead, I hung up asking completely different questions. The roof still wasn't poured, the steel was still exposed, and our windows and doors were still somewhere out there on the Atlantic Ocean. And for the first time, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was happening beneath the surface that we couldn't yet see. And as a document control manager, I have learned something over the years. When the records stop making sense, you don't guess. You start looking closer. Construction doesn't fail all at once. It drifts first. Join me next time, because the second half of August will test your patience, your trust, and our ability to keep navigating from nearly 2,000 miles away. A tropical storm will slow down the shipment that was crossing the Atlantic. The conversations become more formal, and after months of waiting, the roof we had been praying for will finally look like it within reach. But as we were about to learn, reaching a milestone isn't always the same as recovering a project. I'll see you in episode 8. And if you're building back home from abroad, don't stop asking questions just because you're tired. Sometimes the next question is the one that changes everything. The sea was changing and we didn't even know we were already sailing into the storm. See you next episode. Hey, I say B. I say B-A. B-A-R.
Foreign shores, I bring the vision home. Built a legacy from concrete and from stone. Got the blueprints drawn, the white sands calling me. For the diaspora's children, planting the family tree. Building back home against the Atlantic tide. With Bajan roots and all that island pride. Watch the foundation rise, a brand new dawn in store. This ain't just building houses, it's something so much more. Yeah, it's Jackie and Luke building back home in Barbados.